Forget about those articles that you read about and people talk about driving around. You can accomplish all of this business anywhere that you have a computer and you can get online. Welcome back. Now, before you finish watching the first 3 minutes of this video, you realize from the sources that I'm about to show you that county governments have more tax delinquent properties, more real estate properties for sale at tax defaulted auction than any person would ever want to purchase. So this is a business of abundance. So stay tuned. You're about to learn how to buy a lot of different properties for pennies on the dollar that could be worth thousands of dollars when you resell them. You can accomplish all of this business from your home office, from your kitchen table, anywhere that you have a computer and you can get online. So let's make sure that we understand there's a difference between those two. Tax lien certificate means the county is selling the certificate, not the property. So the person that buys the certificate has no rights to the property. What they have is they have a certificate that gives them a right to earn money when the property owner comes in and pays their taxes and recovers, and they call that redemption. All right, so the legislature in all 50 states requires property owners to pay taxes. Now, that's taking place in all of the states. Now, the legislature governs the state. They make the rules, and what they do with those rules, they put them into what they call statutes. They reduce them down to a written form, which is a book. So it's a statute book. And what do they do with that? The legislature pushes all that down to the local county government, which would be a board of supervisors or county commissioners, and they enforce all the rules. Now, none of this is unusual. It's happening in all the state. Now, you can research the statute books yourself, or you can do it online, but the legislature creates the laws, passes it down to the county local level, and that's where it's always enforced. So the treasurer, if a property owner does not pay the taxes, will place a lien on the property for non-payment of taxes. Now, once the lien's on the property, then they will send numerous notices of default. Now, what does that mean? That means a due process of law is taking place, and they're issuing default notices to that property owner. Now, if the property owner refuses and does not pay, well, what the treasurer is going to do is they're going to levy against that property, then they're going to confiscate it, and once they've confiscated it, they're going to proceed to auction the property off. So this is happening in all 3,000 counties, all right? What's the title to our episode? Our title is How to Find Tax Lien Properties Free. Well, tax lien auctions free. These are going to be free because they're going to be lists, and all you have to do is access them with your computer. All right, now the auctions start at a minimum bid. Okay, in some cases they're selling a lien. Some cases they're selling a defaulted property. Properties go to the highest bidder. Tax liens usually go to the lowest bidder. So you're getting the idea. All right, now properties that don't sell at the auction, all right, they'll try to sell them probably a second or third time. And if they continue not to sell, then the county will remove those properties and they'll put them on another list that's usually called surplus lands, forfeited lands, lands available, strike-off list, surplus land. You're getting the idea. All right, but those properties are purchased over the counter. In other words, they're not on the regular auction list anymore. They're over the counter. So nationwide, there'll be thousands of properties that are unsold. Again, this doesn't cost you any money because they're all lists provided by the county. And so every county, all 3,000 plus counties, will have those. All right, now, when you're buying properties from the county, you're buying properties as is. So it's buyer beware. Now, what does as is mean? As is means the county is not guaranteeing the condition. The county is telling you there's no warranty regarding the title. In other words, it could have defects in the title. In other words, the county is selling you the property, and you need to be concerned about the condition, and you need to clear up any problems that are a challenge with that particular deed. Now, purchasing a property at tax defaulted auction over the counter is not for untrained investors. This is a responsible business that's definitely filled with risk, and you have to pay attention. Now, right now, I'm pointing out a few of the highlights. For sure, you can read the local statutes, and you can read the auction list, and you can read the county website, and they'll give you even further information. Now, in Florida, the statute that applies to all this is 197. I don't know what it is in the other states, but you can sure look it up and they'll tell you. So buying real estate has consequences, okay? Consequences could be good or they could be bad. Now, local counties will take a great deal of time to advise you and educate you that if you're an auction buyer, you're buying tax liens or tax deeds, that this is a serious business. You're buying as is, where is. They're not guaranteeing the condition, and they're not warranting the title on their property. Now, look, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just giving you information that's typical about the business, okay? So I'm not giving you legal guidance in any way. I'm not a broker. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a guidance person. What I do is, I really should say, I am a guidance person because I'm an investor and I teach people how to do this. All right. Now, if you haven't seen the legal notices on the property, it doesn't mean that they're not going to apply to you. So you need to learn how to research the county records. You'll notice when you're reading the county website, they will say on the website that the information they're providing is, again, it's buyer beware, and they're not taking any responsibility for what they're telling you about the property. In other words, the disclosure is not only on the website, but it's going to be on the properties themselves. So you have to understand they're not giving you any warranty, and they're not giving you any guarantee of the condition of the property. Okay, so again, it's buyer beware. It's an as-is sale that the county is making. So the assessment and the accuracy of what's going on at these auctions is up to you. It's your responsibility to understand and know how to clarify all of this information. From my experience, the deeds I notice are always a quitclaim deed. Now, what is a quitclaim deed? It simply means, the quitclaim deed means that the county is not telling you that the condition is good, bad, or indifferent. They don't tell you anything about the condition, and they'll tell you that they're not warranting the deed. So a quitclaim deed means they're giving you what they think they have, but they're not backing any of it up. So that means that you have to check on all those things. All right, now quitclaim deed simply means no responsibility from whoever you got the quitclaim deed. Again, I'm not a broker, I'm not an attorney, and so these are really good questions to ask an attorney about and get good answers before you buy at the tax deed auction. All right, so where am I going with this? So what's going on? Well, what attracts investors? Well, I can tell you what attracts them. People want to buy property at 10 and 20 and 30 cents on the dollar. Well, you certainly can do that when you find tax lien certificate properties and tax defaulted properties. Now, hopefully, you've evaluated the property and you see the large margin between the purchase price and what you could sell it for. So if you can buy it low and sell it at a higher number, you've got margin, okay? That's what the business is. It's all about how about margin. So let me give you an example. I purchased a tax deed at an auction in New York. Now, I assumed that I could sell it for $400,000, $350 to $400, and I bought it for $140,000 using a credit card. All right, so I bought it online. I used a credit card, all right? I paid them a whopping amount of money for it, and I ultimately sold the property for $280,000. Well, that sounds good, but between the $280,000 and between the $140,000 I bought it for and the $280,000, there was a lot of work that had to be done, and the market took a nosedive. All right, so a lot of work, spent a lot of money, and the market went down, and they gave me a quitclaim deed. So that means I had to do all the fix up and make sure that was taken care of, and I had to do a quiet title. Well, the title had all kinds of glitches in it, and it took me 13 months to fix the title. Now, what happened during that 13 months? Well, I'll tell you what happened. I had to pay the heating bill. I had to pay to remove the snow. I had to pay the fix-up on the property. Then when they get better and summer came, I had to do the landscaping. I had to do the cleaning of it. My bills went on and on. All the time, I had to make payments to the bank on the money I borrowed. And get this, I had to make payments on all the fix-up I was doing on the property. It simply meant the condition was my problem. The title was my problem. Yes, I did make a profit, but I can tell you I had risk on the way. And that's why, just like everybody else, you probably want to start thinking about getting a coach so you can get a coach to get you through all that. Because when you start paying cleaning bills, landscaping, snow removal, security bills, you're going to find out those bills start to add up very, very quickly. For sure, there's no guarantee when you buy at a tax defaulted auction. However, if you have margin, if you could buy it low enough and then be able to sell it at the right price and you get enough margin, what a great business. Well, I solved my problems and I made a profit. Now, I'm not an advocate of buying junk properties. So I'm trying to buy properties that I can sell relatively quickly, and I don't want to do major repairs. For sure, tax defaulted auctions are properties that could be worthless. All right, so these are used and abused properties. Some are actually junk. Don't buy the junk, but many just need tidy up, clean up, and clear up the title work, and then you can sell them. All right, now keep in mind the county at the auction will remove the deed or trust or the mortgage. That doesn't mean that the municipal liens are off the property or other government liens. So you need to check on all those things. All right, the good news is that tax defaulted properties is a renewable business, and there's going to be an abundance of property every year. So every year there's a whole new crop of these used and abused properties coming out. So it's a good long-term business strategy to learn how to do this. You see those little white circles? That's how many auctions are taking place within that state in the next 90 days. This calendar updates every single day. I'm here today to show you how to make money. To do that, I'm going to show you briefly that there are thousands of tax defaulted real estate properties across the 3,000 plus counties in the United States. This is quite interesting. You're looking at the Ted Thomas Magic Interactive Map and Auction Calendar. It changes every day. Now, I created the calendar and the map so I would know how many auctions are taking place every day in the United States. Now I can show the little guy how to make money. Most importantly, I created this system so I could have an auction list for each auction 24/7. The small population counties, they're going to have dozens, sometimes hundreds of properties to auction. The large population counties could have hundreds, even thousands of properties to auction. So you can go below me, you can look at the interactive map. It'll show you where and how many auctions are taking place. Now, I'm Ted Thomas. Go right below me if you'd like to know more about those auctions. Don't forget, request your free gift right below me.